about? Why would you feed fuel to that fire voluntarily? Like, why do people just jump into stuff that's just going to further make them more miserable? It's not my issue that you're triggered about that statement. I know what it's like to have a mindset that, like, I'm so forgiving, but if you do this, I won't forgive it. That's not that, like, it doesn't balance. So you got to ask yourself, in my opinion, why is that thing so triggering to the point where it causes you to feel how you feel? It clearly causes something. It sparks something when we talk about this idea about someone being flawed, but we accept that our partners will be flawed and not perfect and all these other things, but then we put high value on certain imperfections to say that these imperfections are just completely unacceptable, even though I completely accept that you're going to be imperfect. We need to open up and, I think, really challenge that thought and ask ourselves, why is that? And most times it has nothing to do with that person. It's really all about you, okay? Again, let's take one more 15-second break to celebrate Old Hillside. Also, make sure you hit like and subscribe. This is the G Podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, at G_THA King. G Podcast. All right. Back to regular programming. I just found it very interesting that one sentence had such, like, strong opinions, and I guess people felt like I was talking to them. And so then I started thinking about the fact that, you know, I post a lot of random one sentences on social media, you know, one particular platform. I just post random stuff. And the day before I posted this post about, you know, expecting better treatment, which I will get back to and put a cherry on the top of that. No pause. So the post just before that, like 1 or 2 days prior, I said, why do you defend things you don't believe in? It got no interaction, no like, no comment. It's literally just a blank post, no interaction whatsoever. But then I posted just something silly off the rip, and people are so offended. It's crazy. It's nuts. And so then I started thinking about, like, man, I know that these tech companies and these big data companies get a lot of bad raps because of the algorithms and how the algorithms are influencing our culture, and the data that it suggests that it's impacting the livelihood of kids is alarming. There's clearly, you know, a lot of vitriol toward these tech companies, especially social media companies, because of their influence on the culture and particularly the younger folks. And so one thing I started to think about as I looked at how people even engage just with me, it's like people went out of their way to comment on something that they just could have ignored, but they volunteered and dove right in. So, I mean, that's self-sabotage. Like, why would you dive right in to stir up a certain type of energy versus diving in to understand, to not cause more whatever it is inside you that's boiling, to not turn that temperature up? Why would you feed fuel to that fire voluntarily? Like, why do people just jump into stuff that's just going to further make them more miserable? It's not my issue that you're triggered about that statement. I didn't mean anything harsh or malicious by it. Like, I don't mean any nothing by it. You know, it's a clever way of just saying, like, what makes you think that you're so much better than, say, a Beyonce or Nia Long, that you would never, like, your expectations are you just expect way better than that from your man. I'm just simply saying that if these highly desired women who have been, like, I mean, legends, they're legends. They are legends. And the fact that it's I'm only talking about this because they have talked about it. Or, excuse me, it's been talked about in public spaces. Some people have made content around discrepancies, the entanglements, whatever they call it these days. But this is not something that's breaking news. It's definitely a topic of conversation in the public, and it's a well-known headline here that this coach has been suspended because of a relationship, and we all know that he is married to who he's married to. So that's why I use those two specifically, because it just baffles me that people really think that they deserve more than what these women have, and it's just like, I'm not saying nobody deserves more or better than the other. It's just what makes you reasonably expect that you would be getting much better than what they have, and to judge that situation or any situation because that imperfection specifically was the imperfection, I think that's worth just thinking about. Is it for better or for worse or not? We all have different tolerances, if you will. And so what's for you may not be for the next person, but your expectations often are the thing that guide how you feel in the end.